Hello friends! I'm very excited to share with you the favorite recipe of our family, Lemon Napoleon cake. Even though I've made dozens of different cakes in my bakery, every year my husband asks for this particular cake for his birthday. Let's get started! To make cake layers, we would need 150 ml of cold water, 300 grams of frozen butter, 2 eggs, 1 lemon, a dash of salt, and 600 grams of sifted all-purpose flour. First step is to grate the butter. Napoleon has many thin and crispy puff layers. You can definitely bake them from ready-to-use puff pastry from your favorite grocery store, but I always make them from scratch. The biggest secret to perfect crisp puff cake layers is frozen butter. Our main goal is to prevent it from melting too soon and let it stay cold as long as possible. Try to grate the butter really fast, constantly dipping it into the flour. Set these incredible butter shavings, generously coated in flour, aside and let's start working on a lemon. Zest is trying to avoid white part of lemon peel because it will make the frosting slightly bitter. Then squeeze the juice and mix 2 tablespoons of it with cold water and set aside. Mix cold eggs with salt using a whisk or a mixer, and then add a mixture of cold water and lemon juice. I'm sorry for emphasizing it so many times, but the ingredients you use for cake layers should be cold. This will help us in our mission of preventing butter from becoming warm and soft. I'll explain you a little bit later the importance of cold butter. Now it's time for a messy part. Trust me, if you don't want to spend hours and hours on cleaning your kitchen, cover the working surface with a plastic wrap. Dump your butter and flour on the table and carefully combine with egg mixture. Our goal is to just roughly combine everything together without kneading it. Because the longer you work on the dough, the warmer it gets, letting the butter to become soft. So, why do we need this chunks of butter? The answer is very simple. When we will put rolled dough into the oven, butter will start to melt, creating crispy layers inside one single layer. If the butter will be already warm and incorporated well to the dough, the texture of the cake layer will be smooth, and it is not what we need for this particular cake. Of course, there are multiple different ways to make puff pastry at home, but this method is the easiest and the fastest. Now the dough is ready. Look, I stopped working on it as soon as I was able to roll a ball. Some crumbling, fine, some cracks, not a big deal either. It's done, it's still cold and it's perfect. Then we need to roll 12 more or less equal balls of dough. I like to use scales. For me, each ball was about 93 grams. Look how easy the cleaning process is. Isn't it amazing? Probably its most enjoyable and satisfying part in making a cake. Now cover the dough with plastic wrap to prevent it from drying and refrigerate for about an hour. Meanwhile, let's make a custard filling. For it, we will need zest of 1 lemon, 1 liter of milk, 100 grams of flour, 8 egg yolks, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 400 grams of sugar, and 150 grams of butter. First, add lemon zest to milk and bring it to boil. I really like refreshing aroma of lemon, but you can experiment and create your favorite flavor by adding vanilla bean, matcha, raspberries, or orange peel. When aromatic milk becomes hot and is about to boil, remove it from the cooktop. With the mixer, beat egg yolks with sugar until they become fluffy and white. Then mix in flour and vanilla extract. Very carefully, little by little, add milk. Don't add too much of it because eggs might coagulate, creating chunks of cooked egg yolks. It doesn't take too long, but it is a step you shouldn't do in a hurry. When the milk is combined with the egg mixture, pour everything into the pot and put it back on the stove on medium heat. At first, the mixture will be pretty runny, but keep stirring and take your time. I know, it is the most slow and boring thing in the world. And most likely you would love to speed things up and turn the heat on max power. But trust me, it's not a good idea. I've tried it before and as a result got chunks of burnt custard and a pan that was really hard to clean. That being said, be patient, turn on a nice video on YouTube, check some other cool videos on my channel or listen to your favorite music. The mixture becomes thicker, but the custard is not ready yet. After the mixture comes to boil, boil it for a few more minutes. It will become thicker very fast. Take a look at the consistency of the custard that we are looking for. Then we have to get rid of lemon peel and chunks of cooked eggs or burnt custard, if we have them, so our filling will be silky smooth and perfect. When the custard is still hot, add 150 grams of butter and mix it with a spatula until it dissolves. Butter will set in the fridge and make filling less runny and more stable. Cover the filling with plastic wrap and let it cool down to room temperature. While the custard is cooling, it's a perfect time to bake cake layers. Preheat oven to 360 Fahrenheit. Then roll each ball of dough into paper-thin layer that is good for cutting out a circle of 10 or 8 inches in diameter. I don't recommend to make 6 inches Napoleon cake because the filling will never fully set and will remain unstable. To avoid risks for the top cake layers of sliding or moving, it's better to make a short Napoleon of bigger diameter than a taller cake of a smaller diameter. By the way, roll the dough bigger than you need because it will slightly shrink in the oven. The water in the dough will evaporate in the oven, creating air pockets, so make some holes with a fork to let air out and to avoid huge air pockets. Let's have a look at the baked cake layer. Wow, it's golden, crispy, crunchy and has fantastic smell of freshly baked pastry. While it's still hot, cut out a circle and keep the excess. We will use it later for decoration, because every piece of this delicious beauty must be saved. Now it's time to assemble the cake. If you think that this process is very straightforward, I still have some tricks in my sleeve. First, use a metal ring. The filling is soft, and metal ring or spring form will prevent cake from moving or sliding. Second, cover the board with little pieces of parchment paper. This little trick will help you to have a clean board at the end. Custard will try to run away, drip, or create a mess, and parchment paper will make your life much easier. Third, put a generous layer of filling on the cake board, so the bottom cake layer will be as soft and juicy as others. Now assembling part. Cake layer, custard, and so on. Don't be afraid of putting too much custard. Cake layers will absorb it, and the cake will be soft and juicy. Cover the cake with a plastic wrap. Let it sit at room temperature for an hour or two, and then refrigerate it for 2, 3, or even 4 days. Yes, that's right. The longer Napoleon sits in the fridge, the better it gets. This cake requires patience, but this patience gets rewarded. I tried a lot of Napoleon cakes in my life, but this one is the best I've ever had. Even though it takes a few hours to make Napoleon cake from scratch, its decoration can be done in minutes. Roughly break excess pieces of cake layers. I don't recommend to use a food processor, because you will get a sand-like look of the core that will show all the imperfections, and in my personal opinion doesn't look good. Here is the cake after 3 days in the fridge. It is chilled, set, and stable. Don't worry that it is not perfectly smooth. Well, let's admit it. It is not smooth at all. But that is absolutely fine. We will cover the cake with crumbs and it will look great. Then remove the parchment paper and look how clean our cake board is. Basically, we can leave the cake like this, but I made it for my husband's birthday, who has to celebrate his special day in pandemic time, without huge party, restaurants and nightclubs, so I really wanted to bring an extra touch of love and happiness, and made a heart from raspberries. By the way, raspberries and mint add some color, contrast and fresh look to the cake. I really like to use them for cake decoration. That's it! Our Napoleon cake is done! I hope you will give this recipe a try and it will win a place in your hearts. Who knows, maybe you will have the same tradition as we are, to make Lemon Napoleon every year for birthday celebration. If you like this video, please subscribe, leave me comments and thumbs up. I'll see you next time. Bye!